We are live. What is going on, everybody? I'm excited. I am honored. I'm everything because our special guest this evening is my friend, my mentor, my co-worker, my boss, mainly my partner in making music and traveling around the world and all that kind of stuff. And ladies and
And
gentlemen,
sometimes
Dianne
partner,
Reeves.
hey everybody, and some forgot the mayhem and the craziness and the laughs and all that kind of stuff. How you doing,
Exactly.
Peter?
I'm good. How are you? I figured
I'm
we were
good.
going to build into all that, and but that's
Yeah,
good. That's because you're a great storyteller. So that's like the foreshadowing of likely where we're going to go. It's so great to see you always, and to catch up, and all these good things. And we're just going to keep it loose, folks, tonight. You're welcome to ask questions, and we'll get to some if we can. But we were hoping,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
we were hoping to just kind of catch up with each other. And I know folks are just really interested in what everybody's up to. And I was just thinking, we were talking a little bit before this, Dianne, just about the crazy, just insane and tragic times that we're living in. And, seeing you and a smile on your face, and, the nice sky behind you, although you said it might be, the weather may be going downhill soon, but it's
Yeah, a little
looking
bit.
good so far. You got the
Oh,
the
good.
greenery and stuff, and just a reminder of the beauty in the world. But we're really um at a pivotal and sad place. And we just kind of, on all the live events, we want to acknowledge that. And I think as artists, we're always here to put our music and our ideas out there as hopefully some kind of solace to the anger and the hatred and all this, counteract that. And
Right.
you've been talking about that before. We're in the middle of crisis upon crisis, and through your music, and kind of leading us on stage when it's popular, when it's not popular, when it's in the news, and when it's not. So I just, we don't need to dwell on it, but if there's anything we need to sort of put out there just
Well,
to frame things now.
there's all kind of forces at work right now. There's the sadness of the things that are happening, not only to our health, but what has just happened in America with the deaths and continuing
Mhm.
deaths of people by the hands of police or against the LGBTQ community.
Mm.
Um, the thing is, though, the other thing is that people are gathering together, and there's light in these unions of people coming together, peacefully protesting on one accord, one love, one world,
Mm.
kind of vibe. And also the young people, um, have something that, I mean, I can't even understand. I don't even understand social media, how it works, but I have just been sitting here watching how the messages, how the changes happen throughout social media, how they work with one another, and how they are about making a better world for themselves.
Mm.
How they're out on the front lines with courage, and because this is going to be their world.
Yeah.
And so, I don't stand back because I've been here too, but at the same time, I am here for them, and feeling hopeful and optimistic in this crossroads that we're in, because it could go a lot of different ways. But I think that they're pushing forward in a more positive way, a way that is, you know, gives hope, light,
Mm.
love, dignity to everybody. So, without going into all the specifics of what's happening, because we have seen them play out over and over again throughout all of this, I am continuously, even though some days I just cry, some days I
Mm.
can't even move forward, but still I have hope. And I believe that faith without works is dead. And young people are out there doing the work because they believe in the hope for the future. And I believe in them because they are the hope of the future.
Mm. Yeah, that's beautifully said. And I think how we can support the young people, and the people that are while we speak out as well, and everybody does their part and stands for what is right, that we
Mm-hmm.
have such an opportunity. And I talked with Sean some last week. It's amazing what a week, the difference it makes in the world now. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you and
Every
I
day.
every day. Yeah, it's like, and I mean, sometimes I'm like, just praying for people's strength in general to be able to adapt to. It's a lot of there's some evil forces in the world, and we don't even have to go through the list of them. Everybody knows who they are, but that are putting a lot of just, I mean, physical and mental pressure on a lot of people.
Well,
And
evil doesn't sleep,
uh,
and so that's why we have to stay woke,
yeah.
you know. But yeah, go and say what you were going to say. I'm sorry. I
No,
didn't.
that's exactly what it is. We have to stay woke because that's where we're going to be able to draw on the energy and the power to be able to fight against this, because it's like you got to go to bed at night, and then evil's not sleeping. So we got to recharge and then try to come back. And I've
Mm-hmm.
been very impressed with, as you say, the young people, getting out there. I mean, it's a scary thing too, because it's also like, COVID is kind of getting forgotten. It's been a nice little bit of a reprieve from that, but you got all these people coming together for the right reasons, but you got a lot of people packed in, so very worried about that. But
Yes, very much so.
yeah. But now, Dianne, how have you been with you know not singing for people? I'm sure you've been singing in the shower and in your
You
in
know,
your living room, but how is that for you?
I have to tell you that I realize that basically I don't think I've had this much time off in the last 25, 30 years.
Mm,
I mean, this kind of time. And, it started out in just pure like fear because, the COVID thing just, you had to figure out how you're going to live, how you're going to, had to get through your anxieties, how you're going to move forward,
yeah.
in the very beginning. So the first month, it was lack of sleep. So really nothing got done. But the thing is, I mean, I miss the stage because it is the place where all of these things that we're going through with what's happening in the world right now, that would be the place that would be my release, the
Mm,
place that would feed my spirit, the
hmm.
place that I could, change energy, the place, all of these things in myself and hopefully in my audiences. And
Mm,
so having it on me and not being able to is really, it's hard,
yeah.
and it's like we have done things together where you're playing and I come through and I sing over the top. But it's not the same because I'm an emotional creature on stage, and as we don't have a set list. We feel it all the way through and we feel one another, and the music is living and alive and pulsing, and
Mm,
we never know where we're going to go from, you know place to place, from song to song, only that we're dedicated, and it's clear that we're going to go there wherever there is. And so, and there's a lot of, it's very cleansing for your soul because you're in a place where you have no inhibitions, where there's this intimate conversation going on between you and the musicians, where you're
mm.
co-creating all of these kind of things. So I miss that terribly. It's one thing to sing in the shower. It's another thing to walk up and down the hall and sing. So, but more than anything, I've enjoyed, not enjoyed, I've needed, I'll say this, not for these reasons, but I've needed the time to stop and just really feel myself,
Mm.
because it's always constantly going, going, going. And now, I'm, like with a lot of people, there's a lot of introspection, looking at your life and, kind of where you want to go from here.
Yeah. Yeah, I've also been, just missing our the camaraderie and the
Hmm.
group expression that, I never felt like we took it for granted.
Mm-mm.
But you don't expect it to just kind of fall off a cliff for a while. And I know we'll be back, but it's still like it's because I think we've always are very good about, like, I mean, we talk about it all the time on the road, and appreciate it even when times get tough, be like, ah. And then it's like you get out on stage, and then one of us might be like, oh, but then someone else will jump in, might be Terry on with a certain thing. And
Yeah.
oftentimes because you'll be like, oh, like we'll hear some horrible news about something in the world. I mean, not like this where it's everywhere, but just something.
Mm.
And then we go out on stage and you can feel the healing, and you've never been one to shy away from addressing that head on in the show. but in a way of beauty and optimism and light. And I've always admired and learned from and stolen a little bit from you, like your ability to that very nuanced thing of like, I mean, we know when people are coming to, our concerts, they're coming for a solace from, they're not coming to watch the news. They want to get away from that. And especially when the world is
Yeah.
like it is now and people don't have it, I mean, we're doing some things online and trying to provide that, but you've always been really good about, mentioning but bringing that in with what we're doing without dwelling on it, but also without running away from it. Like the elephant is in the room, but you kind of
Right.
you put a little bonnet on it or something, with a
Yeah.
with your voice and everything. And so I've been missing that, but I've also, because we have played so intensely, especially in really over the last 20 years,
Hmm.
that it's so I value so much the musical moments and remember them so much that I kind of draw on them during this time. So although
Yeah.
our actual playing, like I remember, I was like, oh, and when I'm doing the solo piano thing, I'm thinking about different things that we've done. And so it's been a great time to reflect too, as you say, and kind of,
Hmm.
I just can't wait to get back out there.
Ooh,
I
me
just want to
neither.
make sure I'm ready because I know everybody's been like recharging and practicing and
Mm.
thinking about music and working on the next thing. So I think that there's going to be a real explosion, and I hopefully the audiences will be ready as
I have
well.
to tell you, my voice is getting a kind of rest that it hasn't had in a long time. And, warm up and do all of that. But for the most part, just here. And
Mhm.
the other side of it is I realize that, being gone so much, there's a lot of things that that are left undone in your house.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
been kind of trying to straighten all of that and but I have to tell you this. So my bags that I had packed, the pull-ons and all of that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
I left them all packed because I was like, we going, so they'll be ready. So they're
Right.
still in there. All the, the makeup case, the jewelry
Yeah.
case, all of that kind of stuff. It's all packed and ready to just go. All I gotta do is put some clothes in a suitcase, and we're out.
That's so funny. Mine is too. My carry-on is sitting in there. Everything, even like the separate cables that I could have pulled out and
Hmm.
used. I got other ones for the new little
Yeah.
home office. Yeah, because I'm like I want to be ready
Uh-uh.
whenever that is.
When it's time,
And
yeah.
it's such a pain to unpack and pack. I'm like I know we're gonna be there, and it's a nice reminder to know that.
Yeah, it's just and it's a symbol of hope because, I don't know when or what the fall will bring or how this is going to work or
Yeah,
what's going to happen. And I just pray that what we went through, in March, with the COVID-19 doesn't continue on and seeing countries suffer,
yeah,
like Italy and Spain and China and all of these different places, France, everybody, going through what they're going through, Africa. I
yeah.
hope we don't have to go through this because, you know, we lost a lot of treasures in the
Yes,
jazz world
yes.
because of this, and and even here in Denver, there were treasures in the jazz world that we lost. But I don't want to go through that again, you
Right,
know.
right. Yeah, and I always think about we pride ourselves on where I mean our job is to bring light, and you often use peace and light. That's almost your unofficial slogan. And
Right.
but bringing that in the world, and we've traveled a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
I consider myself a road warrior, but you're the only person I know that, like, if the phone's ringing from you or from the booking agent on your behalf, like I better get ready for like that bag going. It's not going to necessarily be to Philadelphia. That might be the first flight. Then the next one's going to be like Dubai or something, on a whim, like, oh, we got a gig here. And so, but we bring the music, and we never want to bring a virus or anything. So yeah, it has to be safe. But
Yeah.
you know, I'm
And
very interested.
I love what I do because it keeps me balanced. I mean, but at the same time, I'm finding that you have to find other ways to stay balanced. And so I'm, working on ideas and, just moving forward and every way that I can, and also inspired by listening to so many people. It's just
Mm,
fantastic. I mean, generally that happens when we end up on, at the same jazz festival, like North Sea or something, and we run
Right.
out and see everybody. But now, I'm like, wow, everybody is doing some really wonderful things. And new projects that have come out, other ways of, presenting ideas and concepts. And so we're seeing the fullness of everybody, and I'm really enjoying it
Yeah. Well,
and
that's great.
inspired by it as well.
Well, that's great because I know a lot of your fans are going to be happy to hear that and make it even more something to look forward to, once you're back doing your thing in person. Because
Yeah.
those of you, there's probably nobody on here, but if there's anyone on here that hasn't seen Diane live, first of all, I'm very proud to say I guarantee you I've seen Diane live more than any of y'all,
You
maybe more than
crazy.
anybody on this earth
Yeah.
at this
I
point.
could say the same thing about you.
Right, right. And it doesn't get old. And the other thing that's fun, I just want people to know, and I don't think this is divulging any secrets or anything, but folks may not know. But I get asked a lot, like, what is Diane actually like? They only see you on stage or something. And
Yeah.
I always tell them, I'm like, that's Diane, what you see on stage. I said, except she doesn't wear fancy like gowns and like high heels when we're just hanging out. And she's not singing all the time. In fact, the only time I generally hear her sing is that sound check and the gig, so she's a normal person, but the spirit and, you're very authentic on stage. And even to the point of like, when you go into a more serious tone because of the music or the lyric demands that, you do the same thing in conversation. And
Mm.
so it's fun being your friend because like we can be sitting and talking and then, you'll kind of look at me and be like, but if we, when it's time to get serious, you're ready to get serious. And then you'll be like, but that's just crazy. And then you get, and that kind of thinking fast on your feet is very much the way that you improvise, the way you sing songs, the way you change up the set. And so when I tell people you're the same on and off stage, that's what I mean. But I have to qualify because I think people think like, wow, she's like walking around with fancy clothes. I'm like, no, not like that. But your approach to music is very much a reflection, I would say, of your personality.
Mm. Yeah. It's
Um,
always interesting to hear how people view you. You see yourself and you be like, you know. But
right.
thank you, because I just really believe that the one thing that I love about this music, and jazz is my foundation, even though I love all kinds of music. But the thing that I love about it is it's living. It's a living thing.
Mm,
So whatever the one thing that I enjoy that we do most times before a show is to break bread together. That is
mm,
just so important to me, and just, there's a routine to how we do the things that we do before we go on stage. And I love the noise of it. I love the laughter of it. I love the craziness of it,
mm.
just all the things that give it color and joy. And so, and every day is different,
Yeah.
every time we're on the road, every time is different. And, like you could have been like when we were in Italy and you're like, oh yeah, I found this place, but they make these potato chips that you have to come all the way to, and
Right.
like, all of these kind of things. So they bring something. And when we walk onto the stage, I tell the audience, this is not a stage, it's a playground. And we're able to be, like I said, without inhibition, just go out there and live and breathe, make the music do the same thing. And the magic comes when um, the audience is a part of it and there's a soul to soul exchange. So that's important to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I was going to ask you about a couple things, but you mentioned Italy, and that made me think of a couple stories. You're such a great storyteller, but we have some. I mean, we have countless. We could do hours of road stories, but
Yeah.
Italy made me think of us walking on the when there was the strike, the very first
Oh,
tour.
in
You remember
Rome.
in
Yeah, way
Rome?
back in the
Exactly.
day when we just started. Oh, that was
Yeah.
crazy.
But I want to back up just a few weeks before that.
Okay,
And because we haven't actually told this story a lot, but maybe I'll just start it and then you
go
can
ahead.
pick
Okay.
it up once I screw it up. But we kind of had known each other since the first time we met actually was when you did, when I was playing with Roy Hargrove's band, 94. I don't know if you remember this, but you
Yeah,
did, I think in LA, maybe at Royce Hall, you did like a
yeah.
guest, kind of couple of tunes with the band.
I think it
And
was during the time. I think that had was Carmen. Did she just pass, or it was
exactly.
something? Or yeah,
I think
yeah,
that week or even that
yeah,
weekend or
yeah.
something.
Carmen
Yeah.
McRae. Yeah,
Carmen McRae, exactly. In
hmm
Los, and she was living in LA.
yeah, yeah.
And I think you were already scheduled to do that with us, with Roy. And that was
hmm
a fun gig. And you were like, I mean, we were all nervous, but we were kind of like everybody, because it was like Greg Hutchinson and Rodney Whitaker and Rob
hmm
Blake. And we thought we were like, we're the young lions. And then when you got there, we're like, "Ooh, okay, we're like the little cubs." But it was a lot of fun. And I think, we kind of connected a little bit musically. But then, we saw each other, like, kind of vaguely knew each other, but we're in the
right.
same circles. But I was living in New Orleans, and David Torkanowski, your longtime music director and pianist and
hmm
co-writer of many things, amazing musician, amazing
Yeah,
person,
producer, everything. We did a
producer,
lot
yeah,
of stuff together.
yeah. And he, we had been friends ever since I first got to New Orleans in 91, and neighbors and hanging. He's crazy and
hmm
wonderful. And he called me, and I believe this was 96, 96 or 97, but I think it was 96.
For the
And was
Essence
like,
Festival, right?
exactly. And
Yeah,
well, for the Europe tour,
yeah. But I didn't know that.
right. You didn't know that. Yeah. You didn't know. Yeah. And I didn't know that you didn't know, but he basically was like, Peter, I just got opportunity to score this, because he's done a lot of, film scoring and television scoring and writing. And it was like the Big Easy. Remember the show that was
Right,
on
the Big
USA?
Easy. That's right.
Yeah. But he kind of had to start it right away. And you had like a 3-week tour in Europe,
hmm
July 96. And it was kind of the first gig was at the Essence Fest at the Superdome.
hmm
And your whole band was coming in there. And
Right.
then everyone's going to go straight to Europe. And so he said, "Can you do this tour with Dianne? It was like a week before or something. The first gig is in New Orleans, but I'll be there for that. I'll show you all the music, and then I'll do the gig. Maybe you'll sit in a couple tunes, but basically, you'll see what's happening. You're gonna be great. No problem. David can talk you into anything.
Right.
And so I was like, yeah, I'm available. I love Dianne. I've always wanted to play with her. That'd be amazing. And so it just kind of happened. And when I got to the Superdome, David was like, "Why don't you come to the sound check? You can check some of the things. Maybe you can even play some of the tunes, whatever."
Right.
And so I get down there, and some of Ricky Sebastian was on drums, Chris
hmm
Severin, and Munyongo, and
On percussion.
yeah, on percussion. And they were kind of warming up. I'm kind of just sort of there, and I saw you. I came over. I was like, "Hey, Dianne," and you kind of looked at me like, "Hey, Peter, what's going on?" We kind of caught up, and then you were like, "So, what are you doing here?" And I said, "I'm here for the gig." And you were like, "What gig? My gig?" And I said, "Yeah." And then I,
Right.
my brain starts going like, wait, maybe it was like David's supposed to play that gig. So I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna kind of check things out. And you kind of looked at me like, okay, cool, whatever. And then David came in, you guys kind of sound checked. And I think that was like Ricky's one of his first gigs too. It was pretty
Yeah.
early
It
on for
was like,
him
oh
too.
yeah.
And so then basically I kind of figured out, I was like, I wonder if we're supposed to leave for Europe tomorrow. I wonder if David has fully talked to Dianne as to which piano/keyboardist will be coming on the plane. And so, yeah. So how did you then find that out? Because it
Well,
got a little murky after that point.
yeah, because the whole thing was he had told me that he got this situation, and he was like, but it's supposed to happen, and I really would like to do it, but if you say no, and I'm like, we just spent all this money, because the thing is, when you go on tour, you have to buy tickets in advance. You don't buy them the day before you leave. And we would buy tickets well in advance because you have to map out the tour, see where you're going, what you're going
Right.
to need. So all of these things are paid for before you even leave the country if you're going overseas. So of course you cannot take a ticket, and even at that time, because that was before 9/11, you still can't take a ticket and give it to somebody else.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
just in their name. They'll make you buy another one, and of course the closer you are to the time, the more outrageous the fee.
Right.
So I was like, dude, no, hell no. I mean, because I'm down for, people getting stuff. I know how stuff works. I'm really,
Yeah.
really down for it. So, but so when I get there and I find out Peter is doing a gig, and then he just like looks at me, like all strange and stuff. I just, but I knew David. And so I just I don't even remember how I reacted actually. Do
Yeah.
you?
Well, I remember we both kind of at some point we kind of looked at each other and both sort of connected on knowing David separately
Right.
and kind of were like, oh, and you were pretty stoic about it. I mean, you were kind of I think you realized, well, there's no, what's done is done. Let's make the best of it
Yeah.
kind of
And
thing.
but the other thing, much to his credit, I mean, he did do that. I don't suggest people doing it, but if you do, you have to, do something in a big way. And that was, he took the money that some of the money that they had, I guess, paid him, or I don't know what it was, but
Yeah.
he rebought all of your total travel.
Right.
And that was cool. That was like really, really cool. I mean, it was at a time when everybody, he could have just like not and just left me hanging with no piano player too,
Right. Right.
which would have been a drag. But then, the thing is, then we did the gig together and it was really great. Peter was like, you know, when you have a great musician, when that that they're under pressure, you're under pressure, you have not rehearsed together. They only kind of halfway know the songs just because of the way they've been spoken about, been able to run. And then they trust themselves and their artistry enough to, when we get on the gig, people think we've been working together for 25 years.
Right.
That is what a great musician has the ability to do, to come up, get in and trust their instincts. And and people don't know. And I mean, we've made like crazier mistakes as a band who plays together all the time than when we first got together. And the other thing I love about bands, everybody brings their personality, their harmonic vocabulary, their approach, all of those kind of things. And I love that, and how what they do informs the music, because I always find other parts of myself that I had never really, really explored. So the interesting thing was working with Peter when we did those gigs. It was fun because it was fresh and it was a new opportunity. It was a way of making something out of something that didn't even exist like this before. And so I would say to you, don't be afraid of that. Don't
Mm.
freak out. That you got your stuff. Hell, if I had to get up there and sing a cappella, I would have done it. I mean, I don't, I just know that there's a way to make things happen. And Peter came up in there like a beast and just like, took charge, and we just never looked back.
Yeah, no, it was great. I don't know about the beast part, but I do know that
No, you did.
you did a very pro move. I do remember a lot of stuff I forget, as you know, but certain things always stick with me. Which was like, you were very nice and cordial with me, but until we did the first gig, you weren't like, oh, Peter, this. It was just kind of like, okay, so this is what's up. And very professional. And I remember we did New Morning was the very first gig in Paris.
And killed it.
It was a
That
good
new
gig.
morning,
Yeah.
yeah, that new morning gig was ridiculous.
Yeah. It was a lot I think we did 2
Yeah.
nights. And I mean, it was like, you were very, once we connected on music, and obviously that was just the beginning. I mean, it wasn't like, when we really got to know each other, but I really respected and remembered that, like, you treated me like a professional, but you also were like, okay, you got to prove yourself in this situation. This is my band. We have a thing here, and you're going to have the opportunity no matter what, this crazy thing kind of came in. But it's like, until you do that, I'm not going to be like, oh, you're doing great and everything. And little things like that I've taken from you over the years. It's probably not stuff that you ever planned, but it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't Gene Jackson that was on that gig. That was
No,
later.
that was
That was
later.
later.
That was the
Okay,
next
yeah.
tour when the
Yeah.
trio, when we did a trio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and Kenny, that's right, Kenny
Kenny Davis.
Davis.
Yeah. Now that was
Uh-huh.
a fun one
Yeah.
too. That was fun.
That was fun tour.
Yeah. I know for you financially, it wasn't fun when the agent held back half the money or something
No, but we
crazy
got it
happened.
all. No, it was a new agent, and I was, like calling back wondering, did the money come, and did I get the no? And we were in the middle of the tour, and basically there's another voice that I have, ladies and gentlemen. I call it my 2%. And
Right.
ever want to see it. So the 2% came out, and we got paid, and
Right.
we're able to move through, and thank God. But yeah, some things you just kind of hold on to because when you really really need them, you just have to roar, and that's exactly what I did, and everything worked out. But more than anything, we had so much fun on that tour. That was the year
Yeah.
that what was the movie that was out? Box of Chocolates.
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump.
No. Yeah. Forrest
That was
Gump.
the
Right.
remember
That's
when
right.
we
That's right.
watched it and
Yep.
on the
On
bus,
the bus.
and
Yeah.
even back then I don't remember what the screens were like, and Gene Jackson was
They were
like,
fat, not flat. They were fat.
yeah, Gene Jackson was crying. He was
He
like,
was.
"Excuse
Yeah.
me,"
Yeah. Yeah.
it was
I mean, we
like,
were all crying, but he
oh,
was
we
that
was,
Philly
but he
guy,
was
you
going
know.
in. He was just like looking like, "Yeah, I'm doing." I was like, "I feel you," but we just had so much fun.
Yeah,
And Kenny
absolutely.
Davis was, it was just crazy. We just went in and made music and made stuff happen.
Yeah, no, it was great. And I think that was, I mean, that was also when we went on our crazy creme brulee tasting about, we got very
Yeah.
judgmental on, like we were, I mean, that was the agent and the presenters, that was a really special thing food wise, because it was like we played in France a lot and they were doing home cooked meals for us backstage and cheese and beautiful. I mean, it was the whole, like, it was like a
Yeah, and it
French
was like the
movie.
beginning of, and that was the beginning of our being foodies too,
I
because it's
know.
like we'd be like, oh no, we don't eat that, and it just
Right.
got really crazy because we started tasting things and
Oh, that was a
eating.
slippery slope.
Yeah, that
That was
was.
slippery. It was a lot of
Yeah.
money, health situations. We kind of started rattling off after that.
Woo! Yeah,
But that was
but
fun. And then
road
that was,
life.
yeah, road life. That was also when there was that, well, almost so many tours we've had French trucker strikes, it seems like, but that was a bad one because remember we had to drive, the bus couldn't go through, and we had to fly, and we had to,
Flying trains.
and trains. That's right. That's right. Trains.
Hmm.
But it's all part of the journey. Where, I mean, all the places that you've performed over the years, and you always surprise me because sometimes you'll be like, wait, have I been here before? And then other times you'll be
Right.
like, I remember when I was here in 1987 in
Right.
September and I sang this song. I'm like, what? How do you? And but is there anywhere, I mean, not even about your favorite place, but is there some place that during this time, kind of this pause, this, as you say, kind of your longest pause, that you think about, that you're like, wow, I can't wait to get back there?
Well, it's like this is going, it's not quite here yet, but in July will be summer festival seasons in Europe.
Hmm.
And those are fun,
Yeah.
they're it's like the easiest kind of touring, I think, because you're part of a festival. You want to have more time on stage, but you don't. But at the same time, you get to see everybody. And, you're in places like, Montreux, and, you're in Paris, and you're just all over North Sea, and you're just all over the map doing all kinds of things, seeing people and being in the beauty and I don't know, in a festive surrounding. So I always, look when we would do them. I would look forward to this time in the
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a special time. I mean, even there's so many great
Hmm.
fall festivals and all
Yeah.
different times. But yeah, there's something about the summer and
And the summertime, the cool thing, that's when you pack really light because you can have 90 pair of shoes, but they're all sandals. I mean, this is a woman speaking, and clothes are light. But the winter, you have to have like 2 bags for all that bulk. You have to have more space for all the bulkiness.
right,
But summer's like easy breezy.
right, right. Yeah, well, I mean, Diane, you've kind of stepped up your carry-on game.
I know.
I gotta throw it out there. Diane has become the master of I mean, I hadn't seen you do it on any long tours, but that's almost impossible. I mean, I go crazy with it. But I mean, you've
Mm,
done some fairly, like some week long, maybe even 10 days. I think I've seen you and you're like, look, Peter, carry on only. And then I'm
yeah.
thinking like, what are you gonna be wearing on the gig? But it's some happening
Got
stuff
you know
still. still
Yeah,
happening?
because I had a friend that was is a designer. She would make stuff and just figure out how I can go in there. And most of the time, like for 10 days, I would have at least one bag because but I could go out for about three or 4 days with my big old Samsonite pull on.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So some folks are asking different questions about,
Oh, okay.
just like your influences and stuff coming up, and maybe we can just kind of pull them all together because I know, you have so many and you got great stories about it. But is there
Well,
anybody you've been thinking
it's
about in
not
particular?
I always, every time somebody answers this question, I always have to say the greatest influence on me was the time that I grew up in. Because, first of all, I grew up in a multi generational family. So everybody's listening to the music that they listened to. That was
Mm,
one thing. So, and it was all really good music. But more than anything, I'm learning, I'm listening, and I'm in a space where I can see how all of this music, excuse me,
mm,
ties together. And so, of course, the dawning of Motown was like, that was just like unbelievable to see all of these beautiful, amazing, highly polished, soul singing Black artists, that, and I had never seen anything like that, and they were singing music that made you think, music that made you dance,
mm,
music that fed your soul, and it was conscious,
mm,
because I mean, people always talk about at that time, like Marvin Gaye and stuff, but
mm,
even the Supremes, they were singing songs like "Love Child" and
mm,
it just all kind of things, that were very, very conscious. So and Stevie Wonder, and who was like a powerful presence. But we had never seen that, and now I decide, okay, I'm 11, 12, and I want to sing because jazz is very much a part of my household. And, when I started really being serious about singing, it was when I was about 12 years old. And I always tell the story that my uncle gave me lots of records. My father had lots of records. And I just started listening to them because there was another kind of freedom that I was hearing on these records that I was listening to, a freedom that was like this wordless improvisational spirit that spoke volumes. And so I was listening to the singer musicians that my uncle gave me, and a lot of the instrumentalists that my father would listen to, listening to Cannonball Adderley. And I always tell everybody that one of my favorite records was the Clifford Brown and Sarah Vaughan record.
mm,
That record was just something about it just was so cool, and I, started really listening to that music, and and being moved by it and inspired by it. So it was at a time when in the, like the late 60s, early 70s, the music changed and people were experimenting, and before the word world music, that before that was even a thing, great jazz musicians were working with masterful musicians from all over the world. So it was already global without even having that reference, so I discovered like singers like Flora Purim and a little bit of Elise Regina, but not so much until later. And then discovered Milton Nascimento with, of course,
mm,
Wayne Shorter. And it's just like, it was like, whoa, this is like huge world of, other seasonings and flavors and colors and,
mhm,
something exciting. And so this inspired me with the times, the freedom. And the other thing about the people that were doing the music, everybody was unique. They had their unique voice,
mm,
and you're like seeing, you know, groups like Weather Report later on, but here's Jaco Pastorius, and he's also playing with Joni Mitchell too.
mm,
I mean, it was just like everybody was doing everything. I was a studio musician when I moved to, I mean, when I was a studio singer when I lived in Los Angeles very early on. So you had to be able to sing on all kinds of music.
Right.
And, I loved it. I loved it because people could do that. I think I answered the question. So,
Oh, absolutely.
about my influences, it
Yeah.
was the time. There was something about the freedom of of expression that I really really loved then, and at that time too, there was a thing when like Crosby, Stills and Nash Young, or Crosby, Stills and Nash at the time,
Yeah.
they put out the song Summer Breeze, and then the Isley Brothers put it out. People
Mhm.
love to hear different people do their songs,
Yeah.
or Barbara Streisand does Memories, and then you hear Gladys Knight's version of it, and people would do each other's songs. Um, and I love that. I love that the songs were broad enough that other people could sing them.
Yeah. Well, I always think too, of our time, I always look at two singers. I mean, there's certainly many more, but two vocalists in particular that, took those influences, like what you said, in terms of the times, the spirit of the music that crossed over a number of different ways, even into, music from other countries. That
Mm-hmm.
the entry point was, I mean, that was the great thing about fusion in the 70s, is that you had
Mm-hmm.
these great players. And even going back to like Dizzy, I guess, was the first one kind of in
Yeah,
jazz known for like, we're going to bring the
going
Cuban thing
Cuban
in.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that you and Bobby McFerrin are masters of, um, taking all these different influences and styles and genres and being able to channel it in a really authentic way in your own voice, with a heavy, heavy, heavy dose of improvisation,
Mm-hmm.
as being kind of the foundation. And, the couple times I've heard you and got the chance to, play with you with Bobby and seeing you interact, it's such a magical thing, because you guys, like, that's when I really see that similar spirit between you guys. I mean, stylistically, you bring a lot of
Different.
different things, obviously the amazing voices and the mastery of the instrument you have in common, but stylistically, you're very, uh, diverse, but
Mm-hmm.
you guys hook up in a way. And I've heard you sing with, Gregory Porter and Raul Midon and all these, a number of great singers. And you're very good at being complimentary and fitting in. That's easy for you. You can tell that. But you and Bobby McFerrin, it's like, it's almost to me like, and I don't know if it's like that when you're singing with them, but it's just like the musical world just opens up, the fences fall down, and it's like
Yeah.
limitless kind of stuff. And I love that.
I think it's a reflection of the times that we both grew up in. It
Hmm.
was like, I always tell people, you go in a record store and the music was actually in alphabetical order,
Mm,
so it wasn't about genre. I mean,
right.
there were things called, R&B and race records and all that kind of stuff, but it just really wasn't all that. And then maybe, it's because I grew up in Denver, Colorado,
Mm,
and Colorado, that's how you know I'm from
Colorado.
here.
That's
Yeah.
right. Well, I'm
Everybody,
from Missouri.
all the new people, Colorado.
Colorado.
It's
That's
like
that's
it's
that
Denver,
West Coast
Colorado.
vibe.
Yeah, it's Colorado. But
Right, right.
anyway, I don't know. Maybe that has something to do with it too.
Yeah,
Born in Detroit, raised here, and I really had the best of both of those worlds, here and Detroit.
right.
But I don't know. And the same. I think the times. Because everybody did everything,
Yeah,
and it was respectfully done. It
right,
wasn't no bullshit.
right,
It was like, you learned how to make this music work. You learned how to put it in and make it, do what it's supposed to do.
right, right. Okay, so we have a question from a special person that you may know. I'm not even
Uh-oh.
sure. But wait, hold on. Is she there or not? Okay. She just got up and left. So okay, so we're gonna wait to bring her up. Wait, she's
Okay.
back. She's back. Are you
Okay.
ready? You ready to be surprised, Diane? This is a
Uh-oh.
very special. Hold on, see if I can bring her or him on. What? You're here. You're
She
here.
No wonder you thought it was a very special. Look at all that hair.
I know. You gotta unmute your mic, buddy.
Unmute your mic.
Oh,
Maybe you have to unmute it.
it won't let me. I want to unmute you so bad. No, we can't hear you. Okay, you move your mouth, and I'm going to say what you're saying. Hello, I am Homero. How are you, Diane? I'm here to talk to you.
It's good to see you, Homero. But he's still trying to
I
test.
am
Uh,
muted.
There
I
you
am
go.
muted.
Yeah, I'm muted.
Okay, now that you're unmuted, you don't have to be that close.
Como
Oh,
vai você?
como vai você? Tudo bem? So I came here because when you thought that everything, all these stories, oh, Peter and Diane and everything is good, and in Italy and all the food and places, everything is good. Then I came to the scene, and
Yeah.
then it's a mess.
No, no, it got even
No,
better. It
it
got even
got
better.
better.
Yeah,
Yeah. So all we need is like a couple of more musicians, and we'll have the whole band.
that's
Yes.
right. I mean,
So
can I throw out the idea to Homero and to everybody watching that you have,
yeah.
or do we need to hold that under wraps?
No, just
Okay,
throw it
good.
out.
It's a pandemic. We're throwing it out there. Not the virus. We're not throwing that out there. Okay. Diane had the idea of bringing the whole Dianne Reeves band on maybe next week or the week after, and having a little reunion. Not a reunion, because reunion implies it's been like years and you've gone apart. A
It feels
hiatus
like it.
connection. It does feel like a
Yeah.
long time. A
Yeah.
little hiatus connector where we could just kind of talk and catch up. So folks are interested. Are you available for that, Romero?
I'm available. Which day?
Okay.
Wait. Which day is that?
I'll send it to you later. I'll send it to you
The
later.
day I wanted the time also.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, but
So
it's so great to see you. It's so great to see Peter
Yeah.
and
it's great to see
Diane.
you too. Oh,
That's
sorry,
great.
Diane. Yes.
Yeah.
No, you too, Peter. No, I talk to you two guys separate. Sometimes I call Diane, I call Peter, and
Yeah.
everything. But it's good
Yep.
to see both of them and talking to the a big audience and telling our stories. We have so many
Yeah.
places visit, so many years. And when Peter was talking about everything, the experience of being together, and Diane also having dinner together before the shows and the stage and everything, I felt so, oh my gosh, I felt so much into that, all the stories, and a lot of good memory came to
Thank
my
you,
mind.
Stacy Mar. It's good to be together. I'm seeing somebody said, it's great to see you all together.
Yeah.
I was like,
Stacy
ah,
always come in New York when we play there,
I
and
thought that was that.
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, she comes all the time when we play
Oh
there,
yeah.
and it's
I
always
see.
great.
Yes.
She's
Yes.
a
Beautiful.
fantastic person. Yeah, I love
So,
Yeah.
Stacy.
so Romero, I heard. Did you have a question for Ms. Reeves? What's happening? You don't have to, but this is like that's how we do it. I was bringing you on for a big question or comment or
Oh
just basking in the sun as you are there. I can
no,
see.
comments. Yes, Diane said something that I really think the same thing for me. This thing is weird and is sad in terms of the virus I'm talking about, that we can't work the way we were, but it's being important. She said it's important for the voice to have a pause, to stop, and then we rethink about the ideas and rethink about the feelings, and that has been very important to me also. I'm being developing a lot of things and rethinking about a lot of things, not only musical but musical also. I think when we can actually get out of this situation, I think we are going to be, I think that musically speaking, a better place, and hopefully as a person, as a human being, we're going to be in a better place also. Everything is working for that, I think, around us.
Yeah, I mean, we have two things going on here. We have the COVID-19 and we have what is happening in the streets,
Yeah.
Exactly.
by the spirit and the life now who sits with the ancestors, George
George
Floyd,
Floyd. Yeah, that's
and
right.
who we can never allow his murder to be in vain. And it has made everybody, for those who are out in the streets, who are watching people out in the streets or watching the news and stuff, it's made you really, really go and take stock of yourself and wonder where you are in all of this, who you are in all of this, and how you will make a change to go forward. Because it's about racism, and racism is something that is everywhere. And how do and everywhere so much that sometimes it even feels normal, you know.
Yeah.
And so that means that, or it is normalized, I'll even say that. And so, what happens is, there, people who, who suffer from this, and people who don't feel anything because they don't realize it, and that
Yeah.
could be based on color, that can be based on race, that can also be race based on religion and
Mm-hmm.
economic, you
Yeah.
know, privilege.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, what I take from all of this is I'm gonna have to make sure that I just want to stay woke. I want to
Yeah.
be very, very clear, but I also want to be someone who will not tolerate anything like that in the places that I have control over.
Right.
So, it just makes you think about, and I've never been one too, but I mean even more. I'm just going to call it out, shout it out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It just has to change. We have to change. We got a whole world full of people, and if people had a level playing, all people had a level playing field, this
Right.
world would be, a whole lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I think that it's so important for us to, that uh, that have so much privilege in a number of different ways. And, we talked about this a little bit last night on the other broadcast, just, you know, I think there's a lot of different privilege, and I'm so much the beneficiary of so much, but it's not the time to be shameful about that, or to be like, oh well, let me just back down and enjoy. I hope the best for everybody else. This is the time for the opposite, and I'm very inspired by that as well. And I think that one privilege that the three of us and a lot of musicians that travel, but because we're so close, have is the experience and a little bit of a worldview, because we do try to not only try to stay woke, we keep our eyes open. And I mean, Romero's from Brazil, Dianne, you're from Denver, I'm from St. Louis, but like we are so connected by not just the music, but by a friendship and a common goal. And we are able to see the world and go around and meet other people in a way that most people live this insulated life. And so
Hmm.
and sometimes people take that as like, wow, you guys are doing all this. It's like I feel the need now to be, what I saw, what we can learn from. It's up to us to say that. And I think it's mostly through our music, because that's where our big talent, but also speaking out and saying, you know what, it doesn't have to, not only does it not have to be like this, it cannot be like this anymore. And we have to speak up for something better. And I don't think we ever take for granted what we have, this kind of beautiful bubble with this band and with musicians that really see the world in a different way, that we don't have to worry about these things. But we have to be part of the solution to making it so that eradicated this racism, so that other people can see to have the kind of privilege that we have. And I mean, for me,
Yeah, I don't, I think I view myself as someone who has the privilege to travel the world. But every day I wake up and I know who I am and what I am. I'm reminded every single day, so I try to use my stage as a platform, to to use my voice for healing, because I know that you guys may not get stopped by the police, but I know I have been for no reason. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And so I'm sorry to bring this in, but it's so, like it's so raw right now.
right,
And and I worry, and I worry about my nephew, and I worry about the young, men, African American men that are in my life,
right,
and all of this kind of stuff. So, I love that I'm able to travel the world, but I just do not take that for granted,
yeah,
and so that's what I was saying, that there has to be a way to, like, everybody should be granted that access,
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
mean, I really think it's we're at the point of
without bullshit.
yeah, but I mean, of it takes a village. Like that's not just a slogan. It's like everybody has to be looking out, because we can't
Right.
all. You can't be there looking out for your nephew at every moment. And did you make it in or whatever? And everybody, if right-minded people band together and are willing to speak up and not be like, let's close the shades. That doesn't. The days of that are over. As far as that's not my
Yeah.
problem, or that's not my thing. And I mean, I feel the spirit of that rising up, and I mean, we need to like continue to tap in that, I think, as artists, because otherwise, like, as you say, the evilness that never sleeps, that somehow has unlimited energy, if we seep back just into our kind of comfortable ways, it's going to be
And we
anyway.
got a lot of elections coming up. So
Yeah,
everybody in different states now, people
yeah,
have to get out there, just like they're out there protesting, get out there and vote because we have to
Exactly.
change the
Yes,
situation. So
yes,
vote, vote, vote,
yes,
vote,
yes,
vote.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
I think
I'm voting.
a lot of times people forget to say that. I see a lot of speeches and people talking and and they forget to say that. Vote, go there and
Yeah.
vote, and let's
And
try
Homero.
be
to
and
think
be
that.
aware of all the things,
Yeah.
know what is going on in your community, know who can bring about the changes that you want, and push for that. Be a loud ass voice,
Yeah.
just like we're hollering in the streets. Holler that loud when you want, because we got to make this stuff. We're at a
And repeat it
crossroads,
and repeat
and
it.
we have to change, or else we're going to go down a slope that we don't want to go down.
Right. Homero, maybe just share. I was shocked when we were actually in Brazil last fall, and when there was that election that turned out horribly, but about what percentage of Brazilians vote in a typical election, and just tell people real quick why that is.
Wow, I think I don't know numbers exactly, but I know it's not a lot of people, and I think as here, a lot of people that would vote differently, they don't get to vote for some reason.
Oh, I thought you were saying it was mandatory and that
Oh
a
no
lot of
no,
people.
no. It is mandatory, but a lot of
Okay.
people in the middle of Brazil, man, it's
Oh,
like, it's
how you
like,
get it? Yeah, yeah.
the people.
Access.
You think about the Indians there in Amazon that has so many problems, and a lot of people that could vote and they don't vote, but it is mandatory, and regular people have to vote. But a lot of people that could vote differently, and they don't, they are not registered, they don't exist in papers. Also we have that problem also, but in Brazil, uh, if you a regular person registered and you have a document, you are forced to vote. You have to vote.
Yeah.
Even here, for many years, I'm here 35 years in the States, and I still have to vote. If I don't vote, I have to justify why I didn't vote. I did that
To
last election. I could not
Right.
vote because I was traveling. And I had to write a letter to Brasilia, say I didn't vote because I was in Europe,
Oh,
whatever.
I see. Because you have
Right.
dual citizenship. That's what you're
Yeah, I
saying.
still have to
Yeah.
vote in Brazil. Yeah, I'm forced. Yeah, but this last election was really bad, and it's getting worse.
So somebody this is Anna just said, I put the thing up here, Ms. Reeves and Mr. Lubambo, thank you for the concert in Vancouver in March. It was magical and a
Oh,
healing moment. Thank you, Peter, for blah blah blah. Thanks from Anna from Canada. But I believe that was, and I was unfortunately not on that gig, but we played a
yeah.
few days before. Was that the last
Yeah,
performance
we
for
had
you guys
just we were together in what were we in
in Bermuda on the
Bermuda,
island?
Bermuda,
Yeah.
yeah,
and then we went home. Me and Homero and the Brazilian band. We met John Beasley in Canada,
Right.
in Vancouver,
Yeah, and
and
that was
we
like two
did
days
that
later or
gig
something,
then.
right?
Yeah, it
on
was
the
just,
8th.
yeah, it was on the 8th because we came home on the 9th. The
Yep.
10th,
Yeah,
we had one day to get ready to repack, and the 11th was basically the 11th hour. That's when everything shut down.
Yeah.
Homero was at the airport.
I was putting my bag on the United counter.
Terrion was at the airport, and we were on our way to the airport when it was like, stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Paul
was
And
called and said, "Stop! Don't
so
go."
so we've been here ever since.
And I wasn't actually, everyone's always teasing me because I can be a little last minute at times. And so I was
Oh,
not at the airport and say,
every time.
well, the piano player thing, I didn't have any instrument to grab. I
Oh,
was
that's true.
actually,
That's
when
true.
I got word, I probably should have been at the airport, but I wasn't at the airport yet. I was very close to leaving.
Well, see, remember, it actually started with the COVID thing when I think it was Los Angeles was the first one to, shut down the city,
Yeah.
state of emergency.
Yeah,
And to go to Bermuda, I was supposed to fly to LA and then LA, Bermuda.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so we were afraid that because of what was happening at the LA airport, because that's where they found a lot of cases. Um, so I ended up going through New York, which
Mhm.
made way more sense in the beginning anyway.
Right.
I should have been going that way anyway. So, and then I remember I had to spend the night in the TWA airport hotel, which is
You
Woo,
like
it's
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
You like
That was a little
it?
silver lining at the
that
at
was
the
so fabulous, and
that was
that
when we
was
were
just
after
great.
Bermuda, right? After we left.
No, that was
they,
before
Oh,
they
Bermuda.
that
were
was before
Then
going.
I
Bermuda.
saw you
It was,
guys, and then we all got on a plane, and the flight was like what 45 minutes,
Yeah.
yeah.
and we got there, did the gig. We were there a couple of days. We were
Yeah.
like
That was
wondering
fun.
what was, but never still knowing. And then we get to Canada, and when we got home, everything just started going boom, 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 just
Yeah.
closing down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was too, I remember we kind of were joking a little bit in Bermuda. I mean, like everybody kind of had our heads in the sand, but we were also in this beautiful island and they were like, oh, there's no cases here. And I remember telling
Mhm.
the woman who was driving, picking us up at the airport, I was like, why don't you just stop all these flights? You got this beautiful place. Like everyone's got,
Right.
it's a pretty
Yeah.
good standard of living. There's like very little or no poverty. I'm like, you have this idyllic place. And they're like, well, we need food and we need that boat and those planes that come in with the tourists every week. So I was like,
They have
Oh,
they have to have it. They have
yeah,
to
yeah,
have
yeah. I
it.
don't
Yeah.
know what really, it seemed like everything I haven't heard. I don't know. But I'm kind of worried now with all of the protesting that's going on. I just,
yeah,
whoo, I don't know what it's gonna be in the fall. So anyway,
yeah.
you
There
know,
was a comment here, and we're going to wrap things up in just a second because
oh, so
we want
nice.
to, no, we want to just honor everybody's time. I thought, yeah, I was trying to find this. So Lenora says, my favorite vocalist of all time. I remember
Oh,
meeting her at the hotel bar many years ago at the Bermuda Jazz Festival. Such a
oh yeah.
lovely spirit and very gracious to a super fan like myself. So I think that was the
Oh,
first, maybe the time we went when it was when George
when it
was
was
there
you, yeah, and it was you, Greg and Ruben.
and Ruben, right?
Yes, and that year, Angelique Kidjo was there.
Hmm.
We, were hanging really hard. George Duke, of course, we were hanging.
Yeah.
That was such a magical time, and that was the beginning of that new band.
Yeah, that
Uh
was
huh.
great. We had such a good time,
Yeah.
and
Hey,
that was
Lenora.
yeah,
Yes, I remember. I loved coming there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So Diane Homero, but mostly Diane because Homero's just like
I'm
he's
A hanger
he's just
on.
no look that got awkward
I'm
real quick.
sitting
No, I'm
in.
just
I'm
kidding.
sitting in.
No, we always love to have you. We
Yeah.
always love your spirit,
Yeah, you
Homero.
guys, I just can't. I know.
And Bella,
That was
nice,
actually
really.
pretty clear.
I
And
know.
I mean, like to the point, like clear. I don't think there was a delay.
Really? Let me
I
do it
don't think,
again. Let me do it again.
no.
Well, this is the thing.
Yeah. What you think?
Well, this is the thing.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's the thing
Woo!
with Diane. She can sing over anything. It's good.
Of
My
course.
But the thing is,
God.
did it sound like it was like it's like this is different. What is this what are you using? Because
Oh, it's a
there's no
secret.
delay.
We
It's
can't
secret.
talk about.
He can
No,
tell. He can
this is the
tell
thing. There
from it.
is a delay.
Yeah.
There's not as much with this, and we tested out because it's my dream for us to be able to
Yeah,
do it.
To play together. Yeah.
The problem is, it feels like it's no delay to you.
because I'm
Um,
hearing him delayed.
well, check this out. We're gonna give an example. I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3, and then we're gonna clap all together.
Okay.
Okay.
All
One,
right.
2, 3.
Oh, it's different.
Oh,
Did
shit.
that feel like it was together for you guys?
No.
Okay, it's usually for one person it feels. Let's try it one more time. One,
Okay.
2, 3. Yeah.
Yeah, that was all together.
I know, but it not to me. It was bump, bump, bump.
Yeah, it was
It
not
was.
together for
Oh.
me.
Oh, I heard it's all together. Oh, okay.
Yeah, because but we're getting closer. There's
Yeah.
another system that some guys were testing, and they sent me, and we tried it, and it works, but it basically only works up to about 50 miles. Like even the speed of the internet has to be so good on both ends. And down at the studio, we've got really good internet, but
Yeah.
when you get beyond 50 miles, the delay gets hard. It's like going up beyond 100 feet on a stage.
Rudy.
The same
Uh-huh.
amount of things. Oh wait, Rudy might need to make a little guest appearance. Hold up,
He's
before
like
we,
looking at, my poor dog. Rudy, come here. He's like coming. He's coming. Come on. Come here. Come to mommy.
I make the
Come
soundtrack
here.
for the meeting.
yeah.
Come here. Okay, I'm
Brahma,
bringing him.
Brahma.
Here he comes.
Oh, Brahma, you got it. Oh,
Yes.
Rudy, that's Mr. Rudy.
Can you see him?
Rudy.
There
Is
he
he
is.
is he
He's
good,
like,
Diane?
hi.
Is he good?
Yeah.
You're
Say,
good.
I good. I good. I
I
so
good.
good. He's like, he'll be 15 on June the 11th. And
Wow,
his
wow.
eyes are kind of going and that's why I have to call him in a high pitch because he doesn't, oh, what's wrong? He doesn't have the low pitch anymore.
All
But
right.
15
He can't hear.
is very advanced age.
Oh
15, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're not even supposed
Teenager.
to. But he's like still. See, I still up here and I like to do things. Yes. Okay, go on, get down.
Well, the thing is, too, everybody sees Rudy and it's like, oh, look at the little puppy. And you're
So
always
that's
like,
Rudy. He's not a puppy, but his
"Yeah,
brother, he's 5. That's Sammy. I don't know where Sammy is,
Sammy's not a puppy
but
either. Still looks like a
no,
puppy.
Sammy is like. We look okay. I have to tell you this. So Rudy, he's up there now in age, and so he has to wear a diaper, and so we call him Mr. Peabody. And
He's been known to pee
Sammy,
on his body, huh?
yeah, Sammy likes to steal food. He is just it's just like he will steal it. So we're calling him Steely Dan. So
Steely.
their new
Ooh.
names are Steely Dan and Peabody.
That's awesome.
Cool. Good,
That is
good, good.
awesome. Well,
Yeah.
Diane, thank you so much. Romero, thank you for joining us. Diane,
Oh,
so
what a
good to catch
I
up
pleasure.
miss
with
you
you.
guys.
I
I
miss you
miss you
too,
too.
and everybody, thank you for being here for our
Yeah.
little. We miss each other talking, and we hope you enjoyed it. And I think
How many
Diane's.
people came?
We got
Like
37,000 people.
no,
No,
no.
what do we have? We have
36,000.
no, we got about 160, 170 on
Really?
YouTube and Facebook. Yep,
Oh.
maybe more, but this will be
But
probably
but
a
but
thousand
but
people will
after I
watch this
came,
by tonight.
but after I came, they left. Most of them
We didn't
left.
want to. We didn't want to focus on that. No, no, no. I think
Yeah.
I hadn't. And look, I just want to say, everybody, I'm a one man show tonight because I gave my whole staff. We've been doing so much stuff, and everybody's working it from home and at night. And Rachel Morgan and Dan Martin, everybody. I was like, I got this. I'm going to do this. There was some comments and possibly some people were saying some stuff was inappropriate. So
Yeah.
I'm not trying to silence anybody. I saw one comment real quick, but I was trying to speak with Diane,
So
and
what was it?
I don't know exactly. I just know it wasn't
Yeah,
cool, and so
I saw that
I
also.
just muted it, and
You
I didn't
did?
know. Yeah, and I
Oh.
don't even know what I did. But I didn't. I'm not
What
here.
was it in reference to?
I
I
don't
want to
even
know.
remember.
Oh.
Somebody else kind of complained about it, but I don't even really want to amplify
I
it so
don't know.
much. Yeah, no, no, it was nothing about you, Diane. It was just
No, no, not about
my
me.
thing is let's try to keep things civil, and the YouTube has something where you can moderate it, and I didn't realize it was going to mute that person everything that they had ever said because they did say some
Oh.
very meaningful things too. So I undid that. But just so you guys know, I'm not here because someone was like, "Why is Peter censoring?" I'm not even censoring. I'm a one man show, and I can't read all the comments as I'm talking with
And I
Diane.
can't even see them. So I've
Yeah.
seen like one or two come across, but not a
Oh, it's
lot
been
of.
all love. It's been all love.
Okay.
99% love.
Love
No,
everybody.
yeah.
Stay
So
strong, stay
And
lifted.
Peter, just one thing,
yeah,
I have to say, Peter Martin, you're doing so much great things alone most of the time. You know,
Yeah.
I see your lives, I see your talking with Chris McBride, with Dianne Reeves, and this and that, and the things you do with me, and you did me and Chico Pinheiro last week, and you do so much, and congratulations, man.
Yeah.
You're
oh, no, no, no.
fantastic. You're
No, thank you. But
fantastic.
I have an amazing staff of 7 now at Open Studio, so I'm not alone. I just mean for this 1 hour, I'm kind of alone. Believe me, I'm just one of everybody doing it. And most importantly, I have these amazing artists, of which you two are just my treasure as friends and as artists. You're both Open Studio's finest, and Sean Jones and Christian McBride and Peter Sprague, and it's one love, and I'm so proud to be that you guys have entrusted a little bit of your thought knowledge of this music and just life and and have put your courses. We're doing a Christian McBride his #2 next week. We're going to record it up in New
Ooh, oh
Jersey.
yeah.
Good.
Oh
So I'm going to
good.
be talking to you guys about the
Yeah,
next
I've been
course.
doing Christian stuff too. And so yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I thank you guys for being here and shining your light, Diane, as always. And let's get the next thing will be the Dianne Reeves band reunion. I just look, we can have
Yeah.
6 or 7 people on here, so I think we're going to be cool.
We'll figure it out. Everybody
Yeah,
stay lifted, stay healthy, stay
Yes,
awake,
yes.
vote,
yeah. They woke
love
and
on your
awake.
kids, love on your parents, just,
Yes.
you know, we gonna get through this.
That's
Oh
right.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. Thank you, Diane. It's always great to
Better.
see you, to hear
All
you.
right.
Thank you so
And I'll
much.
just tell everybody, if you want some healing and just some beauty and just some straight up badass stuff, put on Dianne Reeves Bridges. I'm not even on that one.
I
Homero's on
am.
it.
I am.
I mean, I'm on some other Grammy winning stuff too, but that record, it's a great record for these
Thank
times,
you.
for healing and power. So
Yeah.
thanks, Diane. Thanks, Homero.
Love you. Bye, everybody.
Love you.
Peace.
Ciao. Ciao.